Hello everyone, welcome to my channel WishInfinite. So this is third part of our series where we are going to discuss playwright interview questions. So this would be video related to a playwright interview quiz questions. Previously we have already discussed some of the topics where we have seen some of the questions, and I have also explained those questions. So we will be continuing that part. So let me show this Slido QR code. I have already shared the link. So there, from there you can join the quiz. Okay. We will wait for some time so that everyone can join from the Slido. And let me share my screen. So here's the screen. Okay. So either you can use this QR code, or I have already shared this link of the Slido there in the chat. So you can join it from there. I will wait for around 5 minutes, and then we would be proceeding further with the quiz. Okay, so let's wait for these 5 minutes, and then we will proceed further. You guys are able to hear me, right? So I will, what I will do, I will just quickly explain you that what we are going to do. So now you should be able to join. I've already started. Suppose Abhishek has already joined. Let's see. Let's wait for this clock. So what you need to do, you need to join it from the slido.com. Either I've shared the link or you can scan this QR code. Right? No need not to make any login. Just give your name and you would be able to see the quiz. So here you would be able to see 10 different questions and you need to answer those questions, and then we would be able to see the leaderboard also. So people who would be giving correct answers within less time duration would be in top of the leaderboard. For now we are not doing any prize, but later if more people are there, so we can think about some kind of prize who are there onto the top leaderboard. So 5 people have already joined. So if you have already seen part 1 and part 2 of this particular series, so there we have discussed related to different topics. So here is my complete Playwright course, right? Is for the Playwright with TypeScript, or if you know JavaScript, then also you would be able to get this particular course. So mainly we have focused it onto the TypeScript, but there would not be any much difference because TypeScript is kind of superset of JavaScript, right? So you would be able to find syntax similar, very similar there. So we have already discussed these topics like introduction, and then how to set up the Playwright, right? The Playwright installation thing, basic steps to start with test scripting, right? And this VS Code extension, about this also we have discussed. I mean, when I'm saying we have discussed about these topics, we have seen the quiz related to these topics into the part 1 and part 2. This async and await and about the page fixture also we have already seen. Now we would be in this particular quiz we would be focusing more onto this locator section, where we would be seeing that how you can create unique locators using the XPath or CSS selector, or we would also be touching some one get by method. About that also in the previous video also I have discussed about that get by method. So we will be seeing one question related to that particular topic. So we have 90 more seconds and then we will continue. 6 people have already joined, so let's wait for this block to get completed and then we will continue. And into the next quiz we would be seeing more questions related to this has which is there with this locator, and about the get by methods also we would be seeing into the next coming parts. And if you have not watched these topics, right, and if you have not seen the part 1 and part 2 of the Playwright quiz, then you can go to my channel and from there you can watch, or you can also see these topics and those quiz at the bottom, I think here. So from here you can see those videos, right? And I would suggest, if you have not watched this playlist, so follow it from the top, so you will be able to grab each and every concept. Okay, so we would be starting in 10 seconds. Okay, so the timer is done. Still if you are not joined, I've already shared the link into this chat window, and here on the screen also you will be able to see the same and the QR code. Okay, so now we would be starting with the quiz. Okay, we have got messages also. Okay, so let's continue. We have 7 people who have already joined. If other people join, so they can continue with the quiz at that time only. Okay, so let's continue with our first question. So you would be getting 60 seconds to give the correct answer. So what does the following code do? Await page.locator, and then the locator is hash login, which we are providing within the course, and then dot click. So here are all the options which you will be able to see into the full screen. Okay, so clicks the first button on the page, clicks the element with the class login, clicks the element with ID login, and click the element containing text login. You have 20 more seconds. You can give the correct answer. Very few people have answered it till now, too, and we have very limited time left. We have answered it. 6 people out of 7 have answered, and we have different option which people have selected. most of the people have selected that clicks the element with the class login. 32% people have selected click the element with ID login. Now let me reveal the correct answer, then I will explain it. So this is the correct answer, which is click the element with the ID login. Okay, so this hash, whenever you see this hash within any ID within this locators, which means that we are specifying ID of that particular element. Let me show that to you into the Chrome browser. Okay, so here I've opened this sourcedemo.com. Okay, let me inspect it. We will not have to go to the VS Code. We don't want to execute, but I just want to explain that how we are going to get this particular locator. So see here, I have inspected this input username. Okay, and here we are having this user hyphen name, which is ID. Okay, so now let me copy it. I will press Ctrl F. So here only we would be able to create that CSS selector. Okay, so in the CSS selector, we can simply provide hash and then the ID, which will give us the specific locator. See, I am able to get this unique locator. Although this ID should be unique, right? It should not be duplicate ID, otherwise you would be able to see multiple elements. So we want to detect the unique element. So that's why whenever we want to use ID using the CSS selector, while using the CSS selector, first we need to provide this hash, and then we need to provide user hyphen name. Here, if you want to use the class name, in that case you need to provide that dot full stop, right? Full stop, then the class name. So it would be using class name to detect the locator. These are all the syntax related to the CSS selector, right? Previously, into this locator related video, I have explained all those things, right? So here, as you can see, I must have used that CSS selector. Let me check. See, here I am using that CSS selector where we are providing hash user hyphen name. And here I put this input in front, so you can also put the tag name. So tag name, if you want to be more specific, so tag name, then hash, then your ID, if you are having any ID available. So you would be able to detect the unique element using the ID using CSS selector. Okay, now let me go back to the quiz. If you are still having any doubt, you can just ping me into the chat. Okay, so let's see the leaderboard quickly. So we have Kaustav Shah, who has given answer within 44 seconds. Then we have Shweta and Anu, Kushi, and other people are there into the leaderboard. Now let's go to the next question. We have one comment from Kaustav that I wish more people join the quiz. Yeah, yes, Kaustav, means if more people will join, then it would be more fun, right, to play the quiz with. Okay, now let me go to the next question. Okay, so this is the question: which locator is best for selecting a button with text submit? And here are all the options. You would be able to see options more clearly onto your Slido rather than I am reading it, because this is the code, right, which we are using. So from here you can select the correct answer, right? We have 20 more seconds left. We have already got five answers. Let's see how many people have given the correct one within 15 seconds. Okay, so we have got all 7 answers. Which locator is best for selecting button with text submit? And 70%, 71% people have selected this page dot get by rule method, which we need to use. And here we need to provide the rule, which is button, and then name of the button, which is submit, which is going to be the text onto the button, right? So in the previous quiz also there was one question related to the get by locator. At that time I was not able to get exact locator where get exact element where we can use uh, this get by rule, but here I will give you one example also suddenly. Okay, so let's see the correct answer first. So this is the correct answer, which is page dot get by rule, and here we need to provide the text. Here we need to provide the rule, sorry, and then we need to provide the text which is there for the button, which is submit. Let me give you one example for the same, so that I would be able to explain it to you clearly. For that, I will be going to this particular website. Okay, and let me use this pick locator for this one, so that you will be able to see that how Playwright is getting this particular locator. About these all these pick locator recording option I've already explained into my playlist. We have also seen some of the interview questions related to these topics. Okay, so now I'm using pick locator. I've opened this demo.nocommerce.com site, and here I will locate this particular search button. So see, here you would be able to see even this tooltip at bottom, where we are using get by rule, and here the rule is button and the name would be search. So same thing we have seen into the quiz, right? There the name was submit button, here the name is search. Okay, so by using this particular method you would be able to detect the element. Similarly, let me use this search store. So let me inspect this also, and let's use this search store. Okay, so see, this is the input, its type is text. Okay, and here we are not having exact text, but we are having this particular placeholder, which is search store. Its area label is also search store. That's why if you will use this pick locator, you would be able to see this get by rule, and its rule is text box, right? These are aria rules, which is text box, and you would be able to see name as search store, right? So like this, I mean, you can simply try to use this pick locator or recording option to get more specific locator. If you are still confused that what would be the role, what should be the name, okay, then you would be able to see this. If you will click here, you would be able to see the same into the VS code. See, get by rule, text box is the role, and name is search store. Okay, so if you are still having any doubt, just let me know into the comments below. You can try to see that. Okay, now let's see the quiz. So I'm going to the next question. So which CSS selector correctly selects an element with both class button and primary. So these are two classes name, which is BTN and primary. So there is one element which is having these two classes, which is BTN, which is first one, and second class is primary. So which CSS selector correctly selects an element with both the classes. So we want to select the element which is having both the classes. So you can try to select the correct answer and then we will discuss. So here let me just quickly show you one of the examples. See, some of the elements here are having two different classes. One is input underscore error and form underscore input. So like that, there can be multiple classes for a single HTML element. So that's what we want to use both the classes name to detect the element. Okay, so the time is over for this particular question, and we have got 86% people who have selected this .btn .primary, and 14% people have selected .btn -primary. Let me reveal the correct answer. So this one is the correct answer, which is .btn .primary. So this is class name 1 and this is class name 2, and in between we need to put this full stop or dot, right? So 86% people have given the correct answer. Let me just quickly explain it to you here. Okay, so I'm just explaining it over the browser. You can simply just put the CSS selector within this page dot locator, and here in between you can put within the quotes, you can put your CSS selector, right? So previously we discussed one of the selector, right, for the username ID, right, hashtag login or hashtag user -name. So you just simply need to give that between this locator method. So page dot locator, and then within the quotes you need to give it. Let me give you one quick example for the same. Okay, let's see some unique element if we are able to see. Okay, let me open one more site. Here I would be able to give more proper answer to you, because here they are mostly using the classes, right? Okay, so see, here we have this. You can select any of the element. I am selecting this forgot your password, right? And here we are having multiple classes. So this is a paragraph, and here you can see this class equals to, and there we are having different classes separated by step, separated by space, right? So each class would be there which is separated by step. So we have 1, 2, and I think 3 classes. Okay, and now let's use these classes. So you can use either these three classes or 2 classes, right? But we want to give the example for the 2 classes. Let me press Ctrl F, and here we have already copied this oxd-text, which is one class. Let me put dot here, okay, which is detecting 6 elements, right? Dot oxd-text. So 6 elements are having this particular class name. Now let me use the second class name so that we should be able to detect the unique element. Okay, so this is the class name, which is orange hrm -login -forget -header. Okay, let me copy this. So this is class name 2, and what we need to do, again we need to put the dot. So initially also I told you, if you are using the class name, so you need to use this full stop or dot, right, before giving the class name. And before this dot also you can provide the HTML tag itself. So see, now we are able to detect one element. Here you can see 1 of 1, because there is only one element which is having these 2 classes, right? Apart from that, that oxd-text was getting used into 6 different elements, but these 2 classes are getting used. These 2 classes together are getting used for this particular element only, which is forgot your password, right? And here you can see 1 of 1, and you can just simply copy this particular CSS selector. You can go to your Playwright script, and here you can write this await page dot locator, and within that locator you need to provide the quotes, and within the quotes you can provide directly this particular CSS selector so that it would be able to detect the unique element. Although in the Playwright we are already having get by methods, which will be, which are preferred to use, but if you have any condition where you are not able to use these get by methods, right, and you are not able to find the unique elements, so you can simply use the XPath and CSS selector. Believe me, at many places you will get stuck where you are not able to use, not able to get the unique element just by using the get by methods. So in that case, simply, you should have an idea, right, how to write the XPath, how to write the CSS selector. For now, into that locator related video, I have given the fair idea about this locators, XPath and CSS selector, but it is kind of a big topic where more details can be covered related to the XPath and CSS selector. So if you want me to create that video, just let me know into the comments, so I can think about creating such video. Okay. Now let me go to the next question. Let's see the leaderboard first. So we have Kaustav Shah, who has given all the answers correctly within 1 minute 11 seconds. Kyota is at second number, who has given 3 out of 3 questions within 2 minutes 17 seconds. And then we have Anu, Kushi, and Abhishek. And now let's go to the next question. And just let me check the comments. And guys, if you are still having any doubts, just let me know in the comments below. I can clear your doubts. Just stick to these topics only for now, right? Now this next question is onto the screen, which is what does the CSS selector input, and then we have square brackets, and here we have provided this type equals to email within the quotes, right? So this is the CSS selector, what it is going to do, which element it is going to select. Here are all the options: all input elements. Option B, only input elements with the class email. Option C, only input with the name email. And option D, input fields whose type attribute is email. So you have 30 seconds, around 25 seconds. Try to give the correct answer quickly. 5 people have given the correct answer. Not correct answer. They have selected the answer. All the people have already given the answer. Let's wait for this timer to get selected. Over. Okay. So we have 86% people who have selected input field whose type attribute is email, and 14% people have selected only input elements with class email. And let me reveal the correct answer first. Okay, so the correct answer is this input field whose type attribute is email. Okay, so here is the input field, which is you can say it is the HTML tag, right? Input. And then within the square brackets, what we have put the type, okay, which is HTML property, you can say, okay, and then equals to, and here we are providing the value of that particular attribute. So this type is attribute equals to, and here the value of that type attribute, which is email, which we need to provide within the quotes, right? And simply you can use this particular locator into your locator method. Okay, now let me give you an example quickly. Here, if we are able to see such example, let me check. So this input field we have already checked. Here the type equals to text. Here we would not be able to see that email thing. For here also, here we are not having that type. Okay, so let me give you example using this, or here also we should be giving an example. Let me check. I've already opened these sites, right? If you need these sites, let me know. I will share these links into the comments just for the practice. And I've also created my website, WishInfinite.com. There also you would be able to see different options. Okay, so here as you can see, let's see if there is name, ID, attribute is available, type is available, right? So let me use this only. Let's copy it, press Ctrl F. Okay, and here what we need to write, first we need to give the HTML tag. which is input. You would be able to see it here. And then within the square brackets, we need to provide this complete type equals to that I have already copied from here. You can just simply copy it. To copy it, what you need to do, you can just simply double click onto that particular property. Like if I want to copy this id equals to email, so I can copy it like this. Similarly, I have copied this type equals to email, and see, I am able to detect two elements because there are two different fields which are having this type equals to email, right? But you have got an idea, right? Like this, if you are just having one element, so you can just provide the HTML tag, any attribute which is unique, right? In this case, this type equals to email is there for two elements, but here we can see we have this id equals to email, which should be unique, I'm hoping. Let's try this. See, input is the tag, then square brackets, then we need to provide the attribute which is id equals to, and then we need to provide the value of that particular id within the quotes. So we are able to detect the unique element, which is 1 of 1. Here we can hit enter, so it will get highlighted also, which is this particular element. So you can use any of the attribute to provide or to detect the unique element. That you will have to check, right? For different sites, for different elements, there can be different attribute which is unique. Okay, now let's go to, and as I told you just need to simply provide this particular thing within the page dot locator, right? Within the VS Code, you can simply write this await page dot locator, and then within that you can provide whatever the CSS selector which you have written, right? You can also provide the XPath. About that also we are going to see the questions, but here we are just going to use the CSS selector, right? See, here we have used one of the CSS selector input, and here we have used value equals to login, right? And now let's go back to the new question. Let's see the leaderboard quickly. And so still we have Vastav onto the top, and then Shweta. Let's see the next question. Which CSS selector finds the direct child list li element of the ul, right? Which is unordered list. So under the ordered list, we want to find the direct list elements. So there can be multiple list elements within the unordered list, right? It can be 5, 10, or whatever the options which are there for the unordered list. So we want to detect all the direct list items. There can be the case that this list item is there into the div, so we don't want to find that. We just want to find the direct list li elements within the ul, which is unordered list, and this li is for list items. We have 10 more seconds. Okay, now okay, so now 86% people have selected ul, and then this greater than symbol, and then li, right? Or this arrow symbol, you can say. And 14% people have selected ul space li. And now let me reveal the correct answer, then I will explain this also to you with one example. So this is the correct answer, which is ul, which is this parent tag unordered list, and then we have put this arrow, and then li, which is child element. So there can be multiple child elements. If there would be 5 different child elements, you would be able to detect 5. If there is only one direct child element, which is li, so you would be able to detect 1. I will give one more separate example where we would be using one different element. Okay, so let me go here, and let's take the example of this form. Okay, and this is the class equals to form underscore column. Okay, so this is the, let me copy it, and let's write the CSS selector for the same. I will tell you what I am trying to do. Let's see first if it is able to detect the unique element or not. Okay, so it is able to detect one unique element. So consider this element as one parent element. Okay, that's what it was there into the question also. This ul is the parent element, and we want to find the all the li child elements. Okay, so here this particular div is the parent element, and here what I will do, I will try to detect direct input element. So here if you will see inside this particular form, which is this one, right? Inside this particular form we have this input field, and then we have inside this particular div we have this second input field, and also we are having this input field available, which is button. Sorry. So we just want to find the direct elements. So as I told you that this input field is there inside the div, right, which is username field, and this password field is also there inside the div, and this input field which we are having is directly there inside this particular thing, right, inside this particular form. Now let me try to give this arrow symbol and input. Okay, I am still onto the wrong parent element, because this particular input is not directly inside this div. Okay, this is form group, this is form. Okay, let me, I mean, this example is incorrect. Let me check if we can try to detect one element which is directly inside this form group. Okay, so inside this div we are having one form, and inside that we are having one more form which is not having any name, right? So that's why it is not able to detect that particular element. Let me try to give one more different example where we should be able to see that, because as you are able to see that this input field is direct child, you can say, is part of this particular form. Or I can try to select this form first. Let me use this particular class name. Okay, let me select unique element, then I will tell you what went wrong here. Okay, so sometimes you'll have to hit and try it, right? I mean, by writing it here, that's why I'm using directly the Chrome, so there you would be able to understand it properly. Okay, and here we want to go to this particular form. So now I'm able to detect this form. Okay, previously I was detecting this div, now I'm just detecting this particular form. So consider this as the parent one, and inside this form I want to detect the immediate child, right, which is input. So as I told you, inside this form, which is this one, okay, we have three input elements. One is this one, which is also there inside the div. Second one is this one, which is there inside this form underscore bro, and then we have this input button, which is directly there inside this form element. So now we have detected this form element, and now inside this I want to detect direct child. Let's say if there are 5 different direct child, so it will be detecting 5 elements. Okay, but in this case only one input element which is there directly available inside this form, so we would be able to detect the one single element. Let me do that. So there, what I told you, as I told you into the slide also, that we just need to simply give this arrow and then the child element which is directly available inside the parent element. So here, so consider this as the parent one, right? Don't get confused. So consider, I mean, in the slide, consider this as the UL, right? So here we have detected this as the parent element. Okay, and now we are going to detect this input field, which is login button. So for that we just need to put the arrow, and then we need to give the input. So it should be able to detect one element. See, we are only able to detect the one single element, which is button, although inside this particular form we are having 3 input fields. One is username, one is password, and the third one is button, but we are able to detect the direct child only, right, by using this particular arrow. Still you are having any doubt, you can let me know, right? This is CSS selector concept. Let me just quickly check the questions if you have got any. Okay, so now let's go to the next question. So this one is related to the XPath. And guys, if you are able to get this XPath, so if you are not finding anything to get the unique element, you can sure shot use XPath and you would be able to detect the unique element. You can also use the CSS selector. If you are using Cypress, there you will have to use the CSS selector, right? But here into the Playwright, you can use XPath or CSS selector. Text, right? Directly you can use. And here is the question: which XPath selects a button with exact text login? And here are all the options you can see. Rather than reading me out, you can just see it onto the Slido so that you will be having a better idea. And all the people have given the correct, not correct answer, but 71% people have selected option B, which is button. Then within the square brackets, they have given this text parenthesis equals to this login. And 14% people have selected button at the rate text equals to login. And again 14% people have selected button at the rate name equals to login. Okay, and the question was which XPath selects a button with exact text login. Okay, and let me reveal the correct answer. So this is the correct one, which is button tag, and then within the square brackets we need to provide the text. So usually when we use the XPath and if we are using any attribute, so we need to provide that at the rate and attribute name, right? It can be name, it can be ID, it can be class, but in case of text, we need not to give that attribute name at the rate and then this text, because text is not an attribute. We are going to detect the text, and for that we need to use this text and parenthesis, right? And it should be equals to this login, right? So whatever the text which you want to detect, that you'll have to give, right? Let me quickly explain it to you with one example. And here we can take this example of this login button directly, right? For now we have used the CSS selector. Now I will use the XPath for the same, right? So it's up to you which selector you want to use, right? I'm trying to explain it with a different example, although we are going to detect this login button only. Let me remove this. Okay, and here as you can see the text is login, and for this input button, let me check quickly this will work or not. Let me copy it directly because it is a button, and because this is the input, so I'm not sure it will detect this element. Yeah, that is correct, because this is not a button. First it is the input. Let me detect the button quickly. Okay, let's use this. If it is a button, yeah, this is the button, and here we can see it is having this register as a tag, or you can use this particular button only. Here this example will not fit because this particular element itself is not a button, right? It is an input. You can use that input tag, but there also it will not take this text, right? But for this particular element, you can see its tag is button and its text is register, which is this one, right? So now let's use that particular example. For that, what you need to give, you need to give double forward slash, right? So directly you will be getting all the buttons here into the page. Okay, so it should be button. See, we are having 4 different buttons currently. If I'm just giving forward slash and then button, and then we need to put the square brackets, and here what we need to do, we need to use this text, right? We want to use the text parenthesis equals to, and here within the quotes we can provide button, we can provide the text, right, which is register. You can try to detect any element, right? I'm using this to detect the register button, and like this, see, we are able to get the unique element. So unique element we are able to get because there is only one button with this register as the text. If there would be multiple button, you would not be getting unique element. You can get 2 or 3, whatever elements which are available with the same name, whatever the button which are available with the same name, right? So for now, we are able to detect the unique. If you would use this login, so you would be able to detect this login element, right, with the same text. We've got, you must have an idea about the syntax, right, rather than the example. I've just given the example, but here what we need to do to create the XPath for reading the text, for related to the text, what we need to do, you need to use this double forward slash, then HTML tag, which is button here. Then within the square brackets, if we want to use the text, so you need to provide the text, parenthesis equals to, and then within the quotes, whatever the text which you want to give related to the element. And you can just simply copy this XPath, go to your VS Code, and simply you can provide it within the parenthesis. Okay. And guys, here don't get confused with the quotes. If you are using double quotes at with the locator method, right, at the outer side, so whatever you will write inside it, let me write it quickly, that XPath I will copy it here. So in this case, inside it, let's say we have given this register text, so same quote you cannot use, right? Here at the outer side, if you are using single quote, so here you will have to use the double quote, and vice versa. If at the outer side you are using the double quote, so in that case you would be able to use the single quote, right? So about that, don't get confused. Sometimes people may get confused that which quote we need to use, right? If at the outer side you are using the double quotes, inner side of that particular locator you will have to use the single quote, and vice versa you need to do. Okay. Now let me show the leaderboard. Okay, so now we have Shweta on to the top, who has given all 6 answers correctly. Then we have Kostav, who has given 5 answers correctly, and then we have other people. Okay, now let's go to the next one. So what does this XPath select? And this XPath is double forward slash and then star, and then within the square brackets we have provided @ attribute, which is ID equals to, and the ID value is username. So what it is going to select, and here are all the options. Option A is any element with a class username, a div with ID username, any element with ID username, and only input with ID username. You have 30 more seconds left. You can select the correct answer. So previously we saw that after these double quotes, double slash, we were giving the HTML tag, but here we have given the star. So let's see how many people are aware about this particular syntax. And usually these are very basic. Sometimes into the interview we get such questions, right, where they will show you a new UI and they will ask you to write the XPath for the same. So in that case, you should be aware about the XPath, right? Although in the Playwright you would be able to do the same thing with the get by ID, but in the interview there can be any question, right? There can be one question where they will show you one UI like this, and they will tell you that write the XPath for this particular element or for any element, right? They can use this particular site and they can tell you to write unique XPath for this username. So in that case, you should be aware that what you need to write. And now 86% people have already selected this any element with the ID username, and 14% people have selected any element with the class username. And now let's reveal the correct answer. And this is the correct answer, any element with the ID username. So this particular locator would be selecting any element, right, with ID username. And here let me check if we are having any element with the ID. This is the ID, or this is password field, right? And this is the login button. Let's use some other field. We can use that login button also. Here we have this ID equals to password. Let me copy that directly. Okay, attribute equals to, and the value with the quotes I have already copied. You just need to double click here, and here it is the, what was the syntax? We need to put double forward slash, and then we are going to put the star, and then we are going to put the square brackets, and here we need to give the @ first, right? And then id equals to whatever the id you want to give. So it will select all the elements with this particular id. In this case, there is only one element which is having id as password, but there can be multiple elements with the same id. So in that case, you would be able to detect multiple elements, right? Usually, we will get the id uniquely, but it depends on to the developer. If they have given duplicate id by mistake also, so you would not be able to detect the unique element there, right? Usually for your project, you can ask developer to add such properties like here data hyphen test equals to login hyphen button, or whatever the for the specific element, you can ask that add unique attribute which is data hyphen test or data hyphen test id, right? With a different site, you would be able to see that. Let me open my site. Here you would be able to see the same attribute. Let me inspect any of the element. See here into this side, you would be able to see this data hyphen test id equals to text hyphen input, or any data hyphen test id for the specific element, right? It should be unique. So you can ask your developers, right? Or if you are also having the code access, so you can simply add these attributes for your testing, right? So it can be used by the Selenium, by the by this Cypress, by this Playwright, right? So you can use such elements, such attributes for any of the tool, right? Now let me go back to the quiz. We are done with the 7 questions, and we have 3 more questions left. And now this is the question: what does this XPath means? / input, and then within the square brackets we have @type equals to text and @name equals to email. So here are all the options. It selects all inputs. It selects input with class email. Option D. Option C is select text inputs or name email, and option D is select text input whose name is email. So don't get confused. Try to read it properly and then select the correct answer. Okay, so we have got all the answers. Just give me a minute. Okay, so 71% people have selected select text inputs whose name is email, and 29% people have selected select text inputs or name email. Okay, and let me read the correct answer. So the correct answer is select text inputs whose name is email. Okay, and let me show one example for the same. So what we are trying to do, just let me quickly explain it, then I will look if we are having any example for the same. So double / that I told you need to use when you are giving the relative XPath. Okay, what is relative XPath? What is absolute XPath? That is also one question. About that you can read about on the internet, right? What is the absolute and relative XPath? Here I'm not discussing that. And then we need to give the HTML tag, and here within the square brackets what we have given @type equals to text. So type is one attribute, its value is text, and we have put and here, and then again we have given @name, which is name attribute, equals to, and its value is email. Okay, now let's see if I'm able to get any example for the same, just to explain it. For such fields, and to my site also I can see if I've used this type. Okay, okay, let's use this element only, or let's use this password for this. Okay, so what was, let me press Ctrl F and let's write it. So / oh sorry, there is the field, the same So forward slash, and then what we are putting, we are going to put the input element, which is we need to put the HTML tag, right? Here we want to detect the input element, then square brackets, and here we are going to give the two attributes with value. One was at the rate type equals to, and in this case the type would be text, right? Here we are going to use this particular one. So here, see, you can see the type attribute. For this one there is no type attribute. See, for this one we are having this type. For this password also we are having type attribute, but it is password. But for this input field we are having type equals to text, right? If you want to detect the password, you can simply give type equals to password, and after this text, what we need to give, we need to provide this and here again we need to, and just a second, I have given this and out. Within the square brackets we need to give the and, okay, and then we need to provide at the rate, right? That was the example, right? Within the square brackets we need to provide at the rate, and then we will use the second element. So at the rate, and here we can use let's use this ID. There it was something else, right? It was name, but we are using ID. If you are having the name available, you can use this name also, right? I'm just taking different examples so you will be aware. So here ID at the rate ID equals to, and we can provide this ID, which is text hyphen input. So within the quotes we just need to simply provide this, and see, we are able to detect the element which is of type text with the ID text hyphen input. And here we have used this particular thing where we were able to detect the input element of type text but with the name email, right? Here we have used the email ID, right? So like this you can make your own XPath and try to detect the unique element, right? It is not necessary that this particular syntax will detect the unique element, right? You will have to write your specific XPath for your specific site's element. Okay. And now let's go to the second last question. So how do you select an element containing partial text dashboard? And here are all the options which you can see onto the screen, right? Rather than reading me, you just see it because it is the code. So if I read, you will get confused. Right, we have 40 more seconds. Try to select the correct answer. Okay, so we have got different answers. 75% people have selected this first option, and 25% people have selected this second option. Okay, so only 4 people have given the answer. So let me reveal the correct answer. So the correct answer would be // then this star we are putting. So here we are considering all the elements, right? We are not specifying any specific HTML tag, and then within the square brackets we have to use this contains method, right? And within this contains method parenthesis you need to provide 2 attributes, right? It is very simple syntax, right? So don't get confused. Here within the square bracket, what is this? This is contains method, right? Parenthesis, and it is having 2 attributes. First attribute is text. It is not HTML attribute, right? It is this methods attribute text. If you want to use ID or any other thing, class, There also you can use this contains method. For now we are focusing on text for this question. So first attribute we have provided text, parenthesis and comma, and the second attribute is the text, right? So there can be one long text which is available, where if this dashboard would be available, it would be able to detect that element. Let me just quickly give you one example. Let's use this particular site. Here we have this forgot your password, and here we will use this forgot, right? And let's quickly press Control F. Okay, remove this, and here we were writing like this / star, right? So we can consider any element, and here we need to use this contains method, right? You are able to see it, right? At the bottom, it should be visible to you. Contains, and then here you need to put the parenthesis. It is a method, and inside it, first argument would be text, comma, and then within the quotes you need to provide whatever the text, right? So we want to use this forgot text. It is the partial text for this particular element, forgot your password, right? So let's provide forgot F capital. Still it is not able to detect. Let me check if I put something wrong here. Let me copy this text directly. Still it is not detecting unique element. Why so? I have put some spelling wrong or what? / star, and it should be contains. First argument is text and second argument is forgot. This is the correct one. Try to detect. Let's try to detect something. Let's see if why it is not detecting element. I am making some mistake here. Sorry. Oh, I have not given star here first. That is one thing. And still we are not able to get any unique element. What is happening here? Let me it should be able to detect. Let me try it for different side, this syntax. Let's use this. Okay, here it is working. I'm not sure why it is not why it was not working there. And let's use this swag. Okay, with the swag it see it is able to detect two elements. One is here, and I think at the bottom we must be having one different. Okay, it's title swag. Okay, so see, or let's use this standard text, right? Okay, so see, I'm not sure for this one why it did not work, but you need to use the same syntax / any tag if you want to be specific about the tag, and then you need to use this contains method where you need to provide this text if you want to detect any partial text element, right? Using the partial text. So text, parenthesis, comma, and then whatever the partial text you want to provide. Here I've provided partial text for this standard, so it is able to detect this one element, right? I will check why it did not work here. It should have bugged, right? We have used that simple the text, right? It is very basic. And now let's go to the next one. Let's see the leaderboard quickly. So still we have Shweta Gunti on to the top with all the correct answers within 3 minutes 59 seconds. And then we have Kaustav Shah, who has given 8 answers correctly out of 9. And he has given within 2 minutes 42 seconds. And then we have Khushi, Anu, and Varad. And now let's go to the next one, which would be our last question. Which XPath selects all anchor tag elements inside a nav? And here are all the elements. Right? Here are all the options, right? So you can try to select the correct answer from the Slido. And guys, I have also shared one poll over the chat. I think you should be able to see. If you want to see such more sessions related to the live quiz, so you can vote it there. Now we have 20 more seconds left. And I will try to find one example for the same. We can. Okay, so 80% people have given this answer, which is /nav/a, right? Nav is one tag, and then inside it we want to select all the anchor tags, and 20% people have selected /nav and /a. Okay, now let me check if I'm able to see one example. Okay, let's first reveal the correct answer. So this one, option B, is the correct one, which is /nav/a, which will select all the inner element, right, which are there inside the nav. So we need to use this /, right? If we would use the single slash, I will tell you. Let me give you an example if I'm able to find it quickly, right? Although nav I would not be able to see, but I should be able to see some other option here. See about this form. So // form. Okay, so there is this form, right? Here no nav is available currently for me as an example, but it is a separate example. You can correlate it. Okay, so this is the nav // nav, and inside it we want to, let's use that input thing only. So we want to find all the input fields here. So what was our question? Here we want to find all the anchor tags within this nav, and similarly I am giving you an example where we want to find all the input fields inside the form. So here what was the correct answer? We need to give the // and then we need to provide the HTML tag, the inner HTML tag, which is input. So see, now we, in the slide also, that the question was like this only, that which XPath selects all the anchor tag elements inside a nav element, right? So we want to detect all the elements, and that's what we are able to do using this particular XPath. So we selected a form, right? If you want to be more specific, you can put square brackets, can provide the specific unique ID also, right? And inside it, if you want to find all the elements, you just need to simply give // and then the inner input element. So we have these three, right? Username, password, and login button. And here there was one more option where only this single / was available. So let me select this single / also. So see, as soon as I changed it to single /, it is just detecting the one element, which is this login button. Why so? Because it is not detecting all the input elements. So this is the form, and here as we have given the single /, so it is just trying to detect the immediate child inside this form, which is having this input as the HTML tag, right? And if you are giving the // it will detect all the elements. You can understand it with the help of div also. So see, inside this form we have this one div, two div, and this three div. So if I will give single /div, so it will just find, single /div, it will find three elements. Why so? Because inside this form directly one div is available, two div is available, and third div is available. Here if you will give // also, so it will work into the similar pattern, because directly inside this form, three elements with the HTML tag div is available. Okay. Okay, so I hope you must have understand this particular concept. It is kind of wide concept. This XPath and CSS selector. There are many more syntax, right, which can be used. There are we can select the parent element. We can select the child element. We can select the ancestors also, right? Immediate sibling. We can select. So there are so many syntax which are available. If you want to see those XPath or CSS related videos separately, I can create such videos which will be applicable for any automation tool if you are using Selenium, Cypress, Playwright, right? Wherever this XPath is required or the CSS selector is required. Okay, and now let's quickly see the leaderboard. We are done with all the questions, and we have winner, which is who is Shweta Gunti, who has given 9 out of 10 correct answers within 3 minutes 59 seconds. Okay, and this was the hardest question. Only 33% people have selected it correctly. I think at that time less people were available. Okay, so you can, if you are not sure about such topics which we have already discussed, you can simply go to my playlist, which is this one, right? There are multiple views which I have got on this particular playlist, and you can try to cover these initial topics, right? And then you can go further for the advanced topics. Here I have created the framework also, right? I have done some videos onto the Playwright MCP server, so that also you will be able to see, right? And these are the quiz which live sessions which I am doing for that. Till now I have just done the 3 questions where we have covered topics till this locator method video, right? In the upcoming video we will also see some options related to this hash option which we can give inside the locator, and I will also try to cover this get by market thing. Okay, so you can try to go through this video in advance so that you would be able to get this particular quiz more accurately, right? Okay guys, so see you next time. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.